Hi everybody, good morning. I wanted to make a quick video for you. Right now I'm suffering from seasonal cold and allergies, so I sound a little bit stuffed up. My daughter blessed me with a gift when she came from Kansas City, and that involved a nice little cold. So anyway, I wanted to take just a few minutes. I've had several of you kind of chiming in and asking questions about the professional development plan. First and foremost, I want to position you for this is nothing that is expected, just like anything in this class, in this era of perfection. Remember, everything you're developing is a process, and hence the word development. And so I want you to consciously think about that. When you start with the professional development plan, look at the template and kind of use that as a guide to get you through. And feel free to open it up and just start writing in it. It doesn't have to be perfect. You are welcome to post it even if it's not ready to go, and get some peer feedback. The one thing that is a really nice guide to developing that professional development plan is thinking about what is something in my school where we could really use education. What is something where I've even said, wow, I wish we had training on this, or I feel like when we did this rollout, they expected so much from us, but we really didn't get the training that we needed. And so that's one place to start. I've actually had students who go to their administrators and say, you know, if we could plan 4 or 5 breakouts, even 2 a semester, as far as professional development plan training, what does that look like? And certainly a lot of this isn't realistic really, because as we know, there's only so many days in the year that the district's going to actually give you to do professional development. So a little bit of this is you doing some dreaming on your planning, but it certainly isn't something that maybe wouldn't happen over 1 year, but maybe it's the course of several years where the school actually supports and rolls out some training. One of the things we know about tech rollouts in general, as far as what the research says, and then pragmatically what a lot of you have said, is a lot of times administration or tech admin are saying, hey, use this, but there's very little training or introduction. You're just expected to roll with it on the fly. And what we know about that is it doesn't really stick. Students and teachers don't see why it's necessary. They're not getting the support and the follow-up they need, and honestly not being held accountable. I know there were times I went to some tech training and I would love to have used it, but it was about iMovie and I only had PCs in my classroom. So I loved the tool, but it wasn't applicable to me. And then after I went to some training, who followed up or who mentored me to make sure I was actually utilizing it? And that's where the idea of developing a professional development plan around even a professional learning community could be really important, where instead of you developing a PDP for an entire school or district, maybe you're developing it for all 4th grade PLCs or all 5th grade PLCs, where you allow people to set their own plan based around the context, maybe like Google Suite or Google Classroom. And then those PLCs, you come up with a protocol for how that would work for them, that they do some planning at the beginning. They decide what is needed for all 4th grades and how they're going to move forward with that. Then they meet with admin and tech coordinators, and you work out a process of how you're going to implement that, and then double check and share and have some mentorship between the PLC where they can help one another and share their hits and misses. So I think that is maybe a little bit more realistic. The research says that those huge breakout days where we have an entire school learning about a process and implementation really aren't as effective as small learning communities where we can get together, share, dig in, and not be afraid to admit we don't know what's going on, or we don't understand, or that we need help. And also follow-up is huge, and that should be a part of your professional development plan. How are you going to support and mentor individuals after the training? Lastly, one of the things I really want you to think about is the measurement piece. How will I know that learning occurred? And you know, what's really funny is teachers and delivering training to teachers and staff is no different than you teaching a student in the classroom or corporate training. How do I know that someone actually learned something? Well, I need to know what they know before, and then I'll test what they know after. So what I would design inside your professional development plan, and you don't have to actually design the tool, you would just talk about what you would do, is a pre-test, post-test. So ask teachers, How do you feel? Like, what is your comfort level of technology? How would you rate yourself? Am I an expert? Am I not an expert? Put it on a scale. Give them a place to qualitatively give you feedback about why they feel that way. What is their overall comfort with using technology in the classroom? What is something that's inhibiting from using technology in the classroom? And then maybe a few items that would actually pinpoint the technology you're focusing on as far as delivery. Like, I currently use Classroom, or I only use it a little bit, or whatever technology, and keep that data to guide your actual plan, what you're going to do with teachers, and how you're going to train them. That data can be really, really important, but then use that same tool after the training and find out, did I see a change in my learners? Did I see a change in the teachers? Are they more confident? Do they feel more supported? All that data is something you can take back to administration and say, look where teachers were when we started and look where they were after 3 or 4 training sessions or this type of training. So think about it like that. And then I think it's really valuable that every training session you do, you have a small formative feedback, whether that's just a quick, like Socrative, like feedback where they can jump in on their phones, whether it's a quick Kahoot feedback, or even just a slip of paper, however you're collecting data. You could set up a Google form that you supply each person after each of the trainings, and they just go in and they give you some small feedback, like this was helpful, here's why it wasn't, like a pros and cons, and then allow them always to give written feedback, because that's where, you may find out somebody's comfort level or helpfulness of this session was a 7, but 7 doesn't tell you anything. So you always need to give them prompts to explain more. Can you explain more? Can you tell me more? Explain to me why you chose this number. And then that gives you more data to work with to make yours better for the next time. Get that constant feedback and make some data-driven decision making. And you will find out that that's also really important as you validate the need for a professional development plan. Lastly, one of the things in the template asks you a previous development plan. And what most of you are going to find out, and what I found out in this class, is there's a lot of districts out there that have no tech plan, which is actually really scary. So look to see if it's embedded someplace in a strategic plan. If it's not, there should be a piece of your strategic plan that has to do with how do we value technology, like a philosophy? How do we roll it out? How do we support people? What does training look like? What is the expectation in our district for technology use? That should be in a strategic plan. If it's not, this is a really good way to start asking your administration, what do we do? How does the district use this? And if they don't have something, you've now just planted some serious breadcrumbs and left a trail for them to think, wow, this is a really big deal, and we should take it as a big deal. We're using taxpayer dollars to pay for a lot of technology, but yet we're not supporting and having expectations of how it should be used in the classroom in a realistic manner as well. And that's where you come in as the tech expert. We know that technology, just like any tool, a pencil, paper, scissors, a laptop, all of them have a time and place based on student need and based on the curriculum, and then the teacher as the knowledge or expert. So anyway, I wanted to leave you with that. If you have any questions, just post them underneath this posting. And remember, we aren't looking for perfection. This professional development plan is a process, and you're working through that process. And I know it's a little stressful, but I know that you've got it. So again, if you have any questions, let me know. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.